Hey everybody, welcome back to the VJF Golf Academy YouTube channel. My name is Vince Froderangelo, Director of Instruction at the VJF Golf Academy here at Vantage Point Golf Center in Cordova, Tennessee. Today's topic is going to be pitch shots and chip shots, and what is the difference? Too many times I hear people interchanging these terms, chip for pitch, pitch for chip. They are two distinctly different shots that have two distinctly different techniques. What I'd like to do though is I'd like to first discuss what the definition of a pitch versus a chip. A pitch shot is going to give you more air time, less roll time. And a chip shot is going to do the opposite. It's going to give you more roll time, but very minimal air time. So that's the difference between a pitch and a chip as far as definition. And here what we're going to do in a second is we're going to actually execute each shot so you can see the difference between the two. So let's do that. All right, let's first talk about a chip shot. What do we need to do to hit a good chip shot? Well, first of all, when you chip, you can use a lot of different clubs. So I don't want to go into that today. That'll be for another video. We're just going to talk about technique today. I have chosen my 56-degree wedge. Could be a 52, could be a 7-iron, could be a 5-iron. Okay, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. But let's just talk about the technique here. When I'm creating, or when I'm trying to execute a chip shot, there's a couple of things that I want to do. Number one, I like to get my hands all the way down the grip. Moving your hands down the grip gives you more control of the club. And let's face it, this shot is all about control. Step number two, I like to get my body slightly open so that I'm facing the target. Some people like to flare their left foot out. You can do that. Step three, I like to play the ball back off the inside of my back foot. For us right-handed golfers, that's just on the inside of our right foot. And I like to distribute my weight a little more lopsided, favoring the left side. So I'm going to go like 70% of the weight on my front leg and probably about 30% on my back leg. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and get the angle of the club to match the angle of my spine. So as I'm standing here with my weight distributed strongly or heavily on the front side, that's going to create a tilt in my spine angle a little bit, just because I'm placing more weight on that front leg. So I want the club to kind of match that spine angle. So the club is kind of an extension of my spine, okay? So I've got my setup, I've got my hands low, I've got my ball back, and I've got my weight forward, and because I've got to lean on the shaft to match my spine angle, I've got my hands forward. Now, once I am in this position, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to make the swing. Now, what you will find is that a chip shot is going to be a very similar motion to a putt. And what I mean by that is it's going to be very little wrist motion. It's going to be very pendulum-like. So I'll show you a drill that you can do here in a second to help you with that. But let's execute it and see how it goes. So we've got our hands down. We've got our body opened a little bit, facing the target. We've got our ball position off the inside of our back foot. We've got our weight favoring the front side. And we've got our club matching our spine angle. From that position, I am going to make a pendulum-like stroke, like a putt. We'll see what happens. And there you go. That is a chip shot. Now, little drill you can do. As you noticed in that swing, you didn't see any of this. No wrist. Okay? It was very pendulum-like. A good drill you can do. Take one of your alignment sticks. Stick it in the end of your golf club to extend the length of your golf club. So it'll look something like this. Now, as you get set up, as you take that setup, here's what you're looking at. You're going to look at, I'm going to turn towards the camera so you can see this. I'm going to take my setup positions. I'm going to play the ball back. I'm going to get my weight forward. I'm going to get my spine tilted. And I'm ready to make my swing. Now, as I make this swing, this here is to make sure I don't break my wrist. If I make a swing and break my wrist, this is going to hit me right here on the side. That's going to let me know that I broke my wrist, as you can see. If I do this correctly, and I make my swing, it actually moves away from my body. So, incorrect, using the wrist, correct, it actually moves away from my body. So that is a chip shot. This is a great thing to do. Most of you have the alignment sticks. Stick it in the end of your club and create some swings that feel this move away from your body. When you do that, you'll start to get the true motion of a chip shot. Okay, so now let's talk about a pitch shot. Now what happens in a pitch shot? A pitch shot is going to be a little bit closer to your full swing. And what I mean by that is you're still going to have all the body motions that you normally would have in a full swing. You're going to have them here. They're just going to be on a much more of a modified scale. If you noticed, the chip shot, although the setup was certainly different than a putt, the motion was very putter-like, very pendulum-like. And a pitch shot is going to have a motion that's much, much closer to a full swing. So let's see how we do this. When I do a pitch shot, I do like to control the distance first and foremost by a couple of things. Where I move my hands on the grip, the further down you go, the more distance you take off the shot. The more up that grip you go with your hands, the more you can add distance to the shot. So if you can look just out into the foreground there, I have a white stake that's about 20 yards out. I'm going to make a pitch shot here. This is going to be a shot with more air time, less roll time. And I'm going to control the distance, as I said, number one, by the positioning of my hands on the grip. Number two, by the length of my backswing, which we'll see here in a minute. And number three, by the tempo of my swing. Because I can make two swings exactly the same length, backswing and follow through. But if there are two different speeds, you're going to get two different distances. So we want to keep this very controlled, not too fast, not too slow. We'll talk about that in a second. That's how I control my distance. So how do we set up to this? Well, for this little 20-yard shot, I'm going to move my hands pretty much all the way down the grip, okay? I'm going to set up with my feet a little bit closer together than I normally would, but I am going to position that ball right in the middle of my stance. I'm not going to change from what I normally do if I'm out in the middle of the fairway. I'm a firm believer on keeping things consistent, and unless it's a specialty shot, like a sand shot or a chip shot, tee to green shot, ball's going to be in the middle of my stance. So I've got the ball in the middle of my stance. I've got my feet a little bit closer together. My weight distribution is going to be about 50-50. If you want to cheat the weight a little bit, you can go 60 on the front, 40 on the left. You can make a little bit of an imbalance. Okay? I've got the ball in the middle. And I'm going to basically take my normal setup. Now, what I am going to be conscientious of here is my backswing, my follow-through, and my tempo. My backswing is going to be just slightly slower than my downswing. Okay? My downswing, my approach to the ball is going to be slightly quicker, but not much. I don't want to have speed. I want to really work on technique and finesse. All right? So I'm going to drop my hands on the grip. I'm going to get that ball in the middle of my stance. I'm going to favor the weight slightly on my front leg. And I'm going to work on good tempo. And if you'll notice, in this swing, everything that I do in a full swing is going to happen in this pitch shot. It's just going to be modified. I'm going to have some hinging of my wrists. I'm going to have some turning of the body. I'm going to have all those components, all those body parts that move are going to move here as well, just on a very, very modified scale. So let's get all set up, see how this works. So there you go, that is a pitch shot. So a chip shot, motion is going to be very similar to a putt, think pendulum. In a pitch shot, the motion is going to be very similar to a full swing with regards to body turns, wrist hinge, weight transfer, and the like. So that's a little different. Hope that cleared things up between pitch and chip. Don't know if you knew that or not, but if you didn't, now you know the true difference between a pitch shot and a chip shot. When you're pitching, one technique. When you're chipping, that's another technique. So hope this cleared things up. Thank you for joining us, and we encourage you to stop back often, because again, we're going to continue to add videos and continue to help your game get better. For now, my name is Vince Fraterangelo here at the VJF Golf Academy, and until we see you again, have a great evening.